What is up, Totem Pole Nation? Welcome back to Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. Today we are checking in on the progress of the number one overall pick, Caleb Williams, the new QB1 for the Bears. There's been lots of stuff written about him in the past few days, about his progress, about how well he is doing. There's also some news on the rookie wide receiver that they just brought in as well, and he's already been sitting out a couple practices with hamstring soreness. So we'll get into all of that. Caleb Williams officially being named the QB1, as if there was even a doubt there. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail. Before we do that, TotemPoleNation.com is the place to go to get some gear, support the boys. That is scrolling in the ticker, as well as our socials. If you have any ideas about what you want Totem Pole Nation, Lambo, and Matt's World of Sports to talk about in the future, hit us up there. We'll respond to that on there, and we'll get to it on here on YouTube. Before Lambo gets back, I guess his connection is a little iffy. He is driving right now. Let's just get into Caleb Williams. Hopefully he can hop back in soon. All right, so like I mentioned in the intro, there have been lots of articles written about Caleb Williams in the past few days, and unlike the articles that were being written about him leading up to the draft, these are positive. It seemed for a while that talking positive about Caleb Williams in the media was becoming a little taboo. It was something that people just, I don't know, I guess you just weren't getting clicks if you were talking positively about a guy that's been anointed as the number one quarterback in the class for the past 3 years. People just, the tides turned on him. People started talking down, really not liking his behavior with, painting the fingernails with the FU on it about whatever team he was playing. Personally, don't really care if you're painting your fingernails, right? Maybe not obscenities on them. But I feel like people were just finding anything and everything they could to downplay the success that he has had up to this point and the success that, rightfully made him the number one overall pick in this draft. Now, obviously, we have to see on the NFL level. We have no idea. Half of the kids, if not more than half of these kids, are just going to be flat out busts from rounds 1 to, I don't know, when you can start calling a player not a bust anymore, rounds 1 to 3, these guys that have been talking about with their pro player comps and everything like that, it doesn't mean anything until we see something legit on the field. What's up? We got some good connection?
Yeah, now when Prince George ain't the place, had no connection.
Nah, brother, they have no LTE out there. I promise you that. I was just talking about how for a while leading up to the draft, it seemed that talking positively about Caleb Williams was becoming like the not popular thing to do. Team or media outlets, people from different companies and stuff were just, I felt like, talking shit about him for a few months straight. And it's really just because people were coming at him about crying after losing. Dude, if you have never played competitive sports, just say that. If you didn't care about competitive sports when you did play, just say that. But if you've never gone into a game with, and when we're young, every game is a Super Bowl, right? Every game is a big deal. If you've never cried after a loss, I don't know if I would view that as a positive. That's passion. That is loving what you do and wanting to be the best. So that critique I didn't like. If you did have an issue with him painting, F Arizona or whoever it was he was playing on his nails, fair enough, right? Probably shouldn't be painting obscenities on your fingernails when you're at the college level. And you really are probably just not going to be allowed to do it at the NFL. I can't imagine, an NFL owner, GM, head coach being okay with antics like that. But the criticisms of him showing up in a different NFL draft sweatsuit, it was an official NFL draft sweatsuit given to everybody. He chose to wear one that others weren't, right? People were blowing that way out of proportion. And what they weren't bringing up was that what he did wearing that outfit was playing with a bunch of kids, right? Like doing the community outreach stuff that you want your QB1 to be doing. So it just seemed taboo to say anything positive about him for months on end. And now finally we have a bunch of positive articles about the progress that he has been making in Chicago. I'll get more into these articles in a minute. What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams and, this upcoming Chicago Bears team?
Well, the schedule will come out tomorrow. I mean Wednesday for these opponents. They'll come out. Ladies and gentlemen, I know the Chicago Bears. They all hype and Matt Eberflus should have got fired. I don't know why they let him stay at 7-9 record. I don't agree with that. Caleb Williams needs an offensive mind. That's what the NFL is about. Offensive mind. There's rare defensive coaches with great offenses, or defensive head coach with a great offense. It's very rare. This is an offensive game. The NFL has changed. Caleb Williams needs somebody like, a Lincoln Riley that he had, a connection with. Very important. Um, we'll see how good Caleb Williams can be. I'm not. I'm sick of the hype. Like he's going to be, the greatest thing ever. We have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Sorry, hold on one second. I want to make sure that I'm not coming off as like a Caleb Williams stan. Like I do not believe that he is Patrick Mahomes, right? Like everyone that's in these things talking about, oh, he's so comparable to Patrick Mahomes and stuff. Part of what I was saying in the intro was, I mean, most of these guys that are picked in, I shouldn't say most, but at least 50% of these guys that are picked in the first 3 rounds aren't going to live up to the hype that's attached to their name. That's just statistics. You can't argue with it. Those are the facts. So I want it to be clear before you continue. I am not a stan of Caleb Williams. I do not think he's the next coming of Jesus or whatever. Like some of these people have said in the past, comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, like frame for frame. I just don't see that. But we do have to acknowledge that what he can do with his legs is a little bit more than Pat. Now, does he leave the pocket early a lot? And maybe that's where a lot of their scrambling yards come from. Yeah. So the evolution of his game to being able to stay in the pocket more, we might not see as many rushing yards as we saw, but we know that he's capable of that. But yeah, sorry, you can continue. I just wanted to make sure that it was known I was not one of those people that you're talking about. That's like, he's the next, Patrick Mahomes. That's not what I'm saying.
And I'm not a hater when it comes to Caleb Williams, but the game has to be played on the field. We called Baker Mayfield, he was the number 1 pick. He was a bust too, but look what Baker Mayfield's doing with the Bucks. It's all about the system, right? Baker Mayfield definitely fits better with the Bucks than he did with the Browns, despite them taking them to the playoffs in 2020. There's been plenty of number 1 picks at a bust, plenty of number 2 picks at a bust. Mac Jones is number 2 pick. He's officially a bust, right? So it's all about the expectations. We give these players unrealistic expectations to live up to. Chicago Bears play in a tough NFC North division. The Green Bay Packers made the divisional round. I wouldn't say by luck, but nobody picked them to go to the divisional round. The Lions went to the NFC Championship game. The only team really got to worry about the Vikings and the Bears have 2 new quarterbacks. If you're going to rank the quarterbacks, right, they got J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams, right? If you're ranking the quarterbacks in NFC North, number 1 is Jared Goff, number 2 is Jordan Love, number 3 is Caleb Williams, and 4 is J.J. McCarthy. It's all about quarterbacks to win this game. And the Green Bay Packers, they developed through the draft. Now, I know their defense has been a concern. They already fired a defensive coordinator. When it comes to the Lions, Dan Campbell, they got a their defense is improving, but they got a run game. They got an offensive line. The Chicago Bears, I know they got some offensive line pieces. The offensive line has been the main issue. It's not really the defense. We already know the Bears have a great defense. They can't score on offense. In the NFL, it's a different level than than college. He can run out the pocket. He can scramble. I get that. Y'all like the flashy shit. I like my quarterbacks to stay in the pocket and make a throw while they get hit. I like my quarterbacks to make the proper reads. I'm not so big on how much stats he had at USC and Oklahoma. That's numbers are great, but not really. They have to be transpired to the field. Depending on the Bears' opponents, I respect. I may give them another 7-9 season, another 7-10 season, because I just don't know. I know Keenan Allen is an older receiver, and he's older. He's not the same as he once was. He's still elite, but he has injury problems. So when it comes to the Bears, I mean, they don't have any other quarterback to turn to. for him to, Caleb Williams was the right decision. They don't have no odds to turn to. You're telling me that the other guy named Tyler something, I can't remember his name, that played last year is gonna win the NFC North over Jared Goff and Jordan Love? No, Caleb Williams is your only damn option. It's all about quarterbacks in the NFL. It's kind of the same situation with the Raiders in the AFC West. Like, you got Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Guess who else is in that division? You got Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Like, come on now, let's be realistic, right? Caleb Williams will have to wait and see how he goes. We'll give him 3-4 years to see if he's really that guy or if he's really a bust. I'm not a Caleb Williams hater. Just stop saying that he's next Patrick Mahomes and that he's going to be better than Tom Brady. Just stop. Let's just stop. He has to win something first. He has to play in the preseason. He has to play in the regular season. And then you tell me how good Caleb Williams is, because if Caleb Williams has 3 bad games, then all you people in the media go sit there and say, well, he's a bum. But you call him the next great Patrick Mahomes, so I want y'all to keep that same energy.
Well, and that's the issue, and I think that's where a lot of that hate came from when it was, leading up to the draft, those 3 months or whatever, when all you were hearing were everyone's negative takes on Caleb Williams. And sure, his dad didn't help him out there at all with those things that were getting leaked out of his camp or whatever about him. He's only going to play for a certain few teams, and he wants a percentage of whatever team. Like, that was never going to happen. We knew that was never going to happen. And I highly doubt that that was him actually leaking or saying those things to then be leaked. I just refuse to believe that someone of his, football IQ alone would be ignorant to the fact that that's not how the NFL works. So I think that was more, it's been reported that that was his dad and other members of his family in camp that were saying those things, not him. But when we're talking about how successful he can be with this team, I agree. I think the hype that has been created by the same media that will then tear him down, it's not fair, but that's how the game works, right? And when you look at the team he's got in front of him, obviously, like you mentioned, Keenan is older, but he doesn't have to be the one every single down. There's going to be plenty of formations where he's not the first read, right? Or like maybe not even the second. Because when you think about it, they have DJ Moore, Keenan, obviously, Rome Odunze, who I was talking about earlier. He's already had a couple practices set out with a hamstring issue, but that's probably more just being cautious. I don't think it's a reason for concern right now. Cole Kmet balled out. Gerald Everett, we've seen him have multiple good seasons with the Chargers in the past. And now they have Khalil Herbert, DeAndre Swift, and Roschon Johnson in the backfield to cycle through. Obviously, DeAndre Swift is a guy that can be used in the run game and the passing game. I don't think we're really sure about Roschon yet because he was just a rookie last year. He was splitting the backfield with Khalil and, Deontay. So it's a new and improved offense. Like we mentioned, the defense was already good. They made moves immediately, traded and signed guys, and that's not the issue. The offensive line has been improved. The weapons have been improved. It's just down to a first-year quarterback, and I just think that's incredibly unfair. I already know basically what you said. What's going to happen when he goes out there and plays like a rookie? He's going to get destroyed by the same media that hyped him up for, playing against inferior talent in college. That's just the nature of the game, and that's what's going to happen. Now, I will say, I pulled up their opponents for next year. The schedule's not out, but their opponents have already been released, right? So obviously they have 6 games in division, 3 at home, 3 away. I think they could probably split the games with the Vikings, maybe split the games with the Packers, depending on their defense. But I think the Packers and the Lions are both better teams. So realistically, their conference record or division record, I don't think is going to be super good. So I'm with you when it comes to like probably another 7-9 season. The difference is Are you okay with this? I mean, I wouldn't be okay with it after picking up Keenan Allen. I would at least want to make the playoffs, but making the playoffs as your goal when you have a rookie quarterback at the helm is just not realistic. And it's like what you were talking about with the Suns earlier. All these expectations are out there, and for different reasons. They have 3 superstars. This is a generational quarterback, as in the terms of the media that's been hyping him up. But the expectations are just sky high, and it's just not fair. The Rams, they're playing at home. I'm so 50-50 on the Rams. I have no idea what that team is going to look like next year. Kind of the same way with the Seahawks, because their defense took a hit in the, clearing cap space, but the Seahawks are still a really good offense. The Jags, we saw them hot, we saw them cold, but I mean, I don't know if I'm taking the Bears over the Jags right now. I would take them over the Titans. I would take them over the Panthers. I'd take them over the Pats. But home games, they have a losing record just looking at opponents. Obviously, this is all speculatory, and then you go to the away games. They're playing the Texans away. That's a loss. They're playing the Niners away. That's a loss. They've got the Cardinals. Kyler's back. We'll have to see what that squad's about, but I really don't know what we're going to see there. Colts, Commanders, no clue. No clue with either one of those teams. I mean, when you're looking at the opponents, obviously we have to see the full schedule, but when you just look at the opponents on paper, they look like a 500 team, and I don't know if maybe with the progress that's been reported with Caleb Williams in all these articles, maybe he'll shine through and they'll be 9-8. But even then, is that getting you into the playoffs in the NFC next year? I don't think so. I think the NFC East could have 2 or 3, now probably 2 10-plus win teams. I think the Commanders have a chance to win 8 or 9 games as well. And then you go to different divisions across the NFC. There's multiple teams in every single division that has the capability of winning the same amount, if not more games than the Bears do. So I don't think that a playoff berth is coming next year, but I do think that Caleb Williams, based on these reports so far, obviously he's only been practicing for a week with the rookie camp and everything, but we'll have to see. The work that is being put in has already been paying dividends, according to this NBC Sports Chicago article. Caleb is texting his QB coach at 3 a.m, asking questions about plays, asking why we're doing this and why we're not. And that, according to this report, is what is getting all this hype getting justified a little bit, because he's not just going through the playbook and memorizing or whatever. He's in there and he's asking why we're doing this and trying to get a better understanding of the why. So I think that we should be expecting a decent season from Caleb. I'm with you. The expectations need to be toned down a little bit. And when he does play like a rookie, we need to treat him as such, like a rookie. We do not need to treat him like this prodigy that is being held up on the highest pedestal, to when as soon as he plays slightly off of that mark, the entire media is going to come for him, which they will. But as I've said, I don't think that's very fair.
That's all I got.
Got you, brother. All right. Well, that is the Caleb Williams update. Right now we have 4 months until football starts. So there's a lot that can happen within that window. We'll cover everything that comes across the desk regarding the NFL up until then. We've got some more episodes coming for you today, but this is wraps on this one. Make sure to visit totempolenation.com, get some gear, support the boys. Our socials are scrolling above if you want to reach out, if you have any ideas about what we should talk about next. Shout out to Sideline Sports Network. As always, till next time, peace.